You are standing on a battlefield in early 16th century Europe. You are a knight, wrapped in 60 pounds of masterfully crafted steel. For generations, armor like this has meant one thing. Against an ordinary soldier with a sword or spear, you are incredibly difficult to kill. But then, through the smoke, a farmer points a crude iron tube at you. He's only held it for 2 weeks. He doesn't have your strength. He doesn't have your training. He doesn't have your bloodline. There is a flash. A deafening crack, and the smell of rotten eggs. A metal ball tears through the smoke faster than anything he could throw by hand. That single shot does not end the age of armor. But over the next few centuries, weapons like this slowly strip the knight of the advantage Europe once believed was untouchable. What makes this historical shift truly bizarre is the origin of the weapon behind it all. The powder that rewrote warfare's rulebook was never crafted by generals or professional weaponsmiths. It emerged from the experiments of Chinese Taoist alchemists whose goal was not to kill more efficiently, but to discover an elixir of immortality. That is the central irony of gunpowder. One of history's most destructive technologies began as medicine. More than 1,000 years ago, Chinese alchemists were mixing minerals, metals, herbs, sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter, hoping that the right combination might preserve the human body forever. Most mixtures did nothing, some were poisonous, and one mixture behaved in a way no medicine was supposed to behave. It caught fire. An early Chinese text warned that alchemists who mixed these ingredients had burned their hands, their faces, and even the buildings where they worked. They had failed to create immortality. But they had discovered a substance capable of releasing energy with terrifying speed. They called it Huo Yao, fire medicine. The haunting irony of gunpowder is this. We stumbled upon history's most transformative tool of long-range violence, entirely while chasing immortality. But gunpowder did not become a world-changing weapon overnight. At first, its flames, its smoke, and its deafening noise were useful for frightening enemies and setting things on fire. Then, military engineers began placing the powder inside stronger containers and attaching it to arrows, spears, and bombs. Eventually, someone discovered that the expanding gas could do more than create fire. It could launch a projectile. That was the breakthrough that changed warfare forever. Long before gunpowder entered human history, we already possessed a unique evolutionary superpower. We have no animal claws, no piercing fangs, no natural brute strength to dominate combat. What we have is the ability to throw. In 2013, Harvard researchers analyzed the biomechanics of professional baseball pitchers and uncovered a key evolutionary secret. The human shoulder functions like a precision slingshot, storing massive kinetic energy and releasing it in a single, explosive instant. This skeletal adaptation emerged 2 million years ago, long before complex weapons or formal warfare existed. What fascinates me most here is how unique this skill is. Chimpanzees are physically stronger than humans in nearly every category, yet they cannot replicate our accurate, powerful throwing motion. One of our greatest evolutionary advantages was the ability to strike from a distance. Still, human biology has strict limits. A stone, a spear, or an arrow can only carry the force that a human body puts into it. Gunpowder broke that biological limit. Fire lances gradually became hand cannons. Hand cannons developed into muskets. And centuries later, repeating firearms and machine guns followed. Over 1,000 years, humanity built industrial factories capable of producing weapons on a scale earlier civilizations could never have imagined. And it was inside this industrialized machinery of war that one inventor faced the ultimate moral reckoning in 1888. A French newspaper mistakenly published an obituary for Alfred Nobel after confusing him with his brother Ludwig, who had actually died. In an instant, Nobel was forced to read the world's judgment of him, decades before his actual death. The headline branded him harshly, "The Merchant of Death," a man who profited from faster, more efficient ways to kill. The label reduced a complicated life to one brutal sentence. Nobel developed dynamite largely as a safer and more controllable explosive for mining, construction, and infrastructure. But explosive technology also had obvious military uses, and Nobel understood that an invention could serve construction in one place and destruction in another. Whether that misprinted obituary single-handedly reshaped Nobel's worldview is impossible to confirm. But it may have sharpened a question Nobel was already struggling with. What lasting legacy would he leave behind? Years later, he dedicated most of his fortune to establishing prizes for achievements in science, literature, and peace. There is a haunting, beautiful symmetry bookending this thousand-year story. Two moments in history, separated by nearly a millennium, were connected by different versions of the same human desire, the desire to outlive death. Generations of Chinese alchemists chased physical immortality for the human body. They failed at that goal. Yet their experiments produced one of the most consequential military technologies in history. Alfred Nobel chased immortal honor through a peaceful legacy. He saw how explosive technology could be used for both construction and destruction, and tried to shape how the world would remember his name. We still call this powder Huo Yao, fire medicine. Its name has remained unchanged for over a millennium. Only its purpose has transformed entirely. To this day, almost every part of the world has been shaped by the military, political, and technological consequences of this accidental discovery. So, when we credit human history to grand strategies, empires, and calculated ambition, remember this truth. One of the most transformative military technologies in human history did not begin with a desire to kill. It began with a desperate attempt to cheat death. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden, ironic layers behind mainstream history, leave a like. Subscribe to explore more overlooked stories that quietly shaped our modern world. I'll see you in the next video.